Hello, my name is Cynthia and welcome to my Flosstube channel. I'm happy to be here with you today to talk about my stitching, about things I've been making and working on, and a quick life update at the end. It's September 14th, 2025 here in Fort Worth, Texas. It's super hot outside. I'm a little bit glowy almost. And I had intended to come back much sooner than now, but life has been a little bit hectic and a little bit crazy. I have, however, had time to do small stitching projects just here and there. I've had quite a bit of stitching time, maybe not on what I intended, but I have several finishes to show you, which is why I wanted to film today, to say hello and to check in and just share what I've been up to. I had a finish from last year that I've never shown on YouTube. I have shown it on Instagram, but this is a favorite. I'll just jump right in. This is Barbara Anna. It's from the Punch Needle Primitive Stitcher magazine. I don't believe it's on an individual pattern. It might be on Creative Poppies online, but it was in that magazine that a sweet subscriber, I think her name was Cindy, sent to me. This is a little crooked, I'm just noticing. It's been in storage. I'm getting it out of the bin, but I mainly followed the called for colors. I did switch her dress. There was like a tropical DMC, one of the variegated DMCs that I did like, but I didn't find it in store at Michael's or Hobby Lobby. So I just used, I think it was like 502, one of the DMC colors. And I might have used a variegated of my own, but I don't think so. I'm pretty sure this was just straight as called for. And it's so sweet. I found this little house at Target. Boy, it's much, 2022. It was only $3. I don't think anything's $3 anymore, but I had it sitting just as a backdrop and finally went ahead and put a bow up top with just like some random pieces of lace and ribbon and a few sprigs from Hobby Lobby, and I love the way it turned out. So that sits behind me. I usually have some more squirrel stuff, but I haven't gotten everything out yet. Most of what I'm showing you today is actually from August, and I feel like I'm crooked again. I need to get a new tripod. My tripod kind of leans as we go. Anyway, so most of what I have, like I said, is from August, but I'm still going to keep them out for a while. This I've shown several times in other months, but this is Hands-on Design Celebrations, the first version that she did, that Kathy Halberman did. And I don't think I followed any of her colors with the called for. It's usually a lot brighter, and I think a lot of them are like General Arts, and I use DMCs. I may have used some, I want to say that this is Licorice Red, so it has a little bit of variegation, and then the outside is Tiger Lily. So those two are variegated, and then I used more of a turquoise instead of a bright blue, which I tend to do. And then I actually have, I'm gonna fix this. It's in there too tight right now. I'll show you. I have the other month on the back of this cube, and I thought, why hadn't I thought of that before? Instead of having 12 of these, I'm gonna have 6, and they're gonna be two-sided. So I'm gonna have these with a ribbon wrapped around the middle so that they can be displayed on their own in my hutch, but then I will just turn them around the right direction, which probably I'm not the first one to think about that, but I had never heard anybody else think of that. And I was like, oh, why didn't I do that sooner? This little wooden bee is just perched up there. I found this at Hobby Lobby in a spring clearance, and I just thought they were cute. I have some on my door too in a wreath. So, and I tried to do the ants myself. I didn't love the ants as charted. They kind of had wiggly lines on either side, and I didn't think it looked very much like an ant, but mine don't either. Mine ended up looking, I found some online that are just like over one stitching, and I think mine look kind of strange, but I left them on there because they're pretty classic for a picnic. So Not that you can picnic in Texas in August, at least not around us. This one too, another monthly series I have shown in the past. This is my Joyful World Sal by Sub Rosa, I believe. I'll put the correct name there if I'm wrong. I know it's an Italian designer and she did this entire 12-month series for free. Mine looks quite a bit different. I didn't bring out the original, but this was supposed to be June, and it had a peach tree over here. It was really sweet because the month of June is much shorter, of course. So when I changed it to August, because for me, bees are August, I had run out of room to do the peaches and the limbs. So what I ended up doing, and this is kind of a note from Brenda Gervais on her 2 pieces that I've done with the sheep. She uses felt to make flowers, and so I thought, why don't I make some felt sunflowers? So I just kind of stitched the same stems as she had some other flowers on. In fact, these were her charted flowers. They were blue and white, which I thought was pretty. I used those for the color here, and then I changed it. Hang on. Okay, sorry about the interruption. I'm trying to hurry while my family's out, but they're coming and going still. I did find the picture of the bear, though. This is what it looks like for the June, and you can see that tree to the right. It looks really good. In fact, in some ways it's better than mine, but I just really wanted those sunflowers to go with the bees, and they are little lazy daisy stitches for the wings. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else I changed. I thought about doing a different stitch on that hive. I've done a satin stitch on a beehive, like cross-hatched before, and it looks really cute, but I was wanting to just get it done. So it has some top stitching that is charted, and the bear I thought was just fantastic the way she did that. I didn't use her colors. I used some variegateds that I already had. I want to say that's a classic Colorworks. That was like a limited edition, but I thought it variegated really sweet. And his face, I just couldn't get over how well that turned out. So, and this fabric is a Monaco that I dyed myself with just some dots of blue and tan, and I will show you a bigger piece I did. I really love the way that it turned out. And I used this, oh my goodness, I've got a little bit of a hole in the bottom of this, and I'm dropping walnut shells. I need to patch that. This has been used for several months now. I think I'm halfway done, maybe 5 months done on this cover that I use. This is just a sleeve that I basically sew, or a, one piece, and then I tie it with ribbon. Sometimes I use smaller ribbon, but this is some sari silk I had. I thought it was more yellow, but I still like it. It's real floppy and pretty. And so I'll probably use it for September and October too, but there it is. And I was gonna do something a little fancier on the top. I could even do, like one of these bees on top of that and make it cuter, but for now it's just kind of flat because August is already gone. So there is the Joyful World Sal, and let me double check if I had that right. Her name is Maja. I don't know how to say her last name, but it is Snowflower Diaries, not Sub Rosa. I always get those confused. Snowflower Diaries. You can find that online. It's been out for probably 8-9 years. And then I was inspired by a friend, Lisa, to do this. I think it's a Sal with her and her friend Brooke, but I just watched her stitching it at our retreat at Boxcar, and I was like, oh my gosh, I've always wanted to do that, and I just love the colors. I actually made up my own, somewhat based on Beth Twist, but I don't usually put a pink, and I know, sorry the glare, I know she had like a pretty soft pink in there, and I used a terracotta instead. This one here was the soft pink, and then this is supposed to be grits, but I just went ahead and made it like a tan color, and she had a larger initial here. I just did a little CB, and I really was going to frame this. I had intended to, but when I saw the way the penny round edges kind of finish it, I didn't want there to be another border outside of that. I felt like that should be at the border, so I thought, no, I'm gonna do a pillow. I found this fabric at Boxcar, and it was supposed to be for my bee stitching, and this doesn't have a bee on the front, but it's kind of summery to me, and so I did put a little wooden bee cutout and a bell. And I love this vintage lace that a viewer sent to me and shared. It's been over dyed, so I sew all the way around, and then I cut a back. And usually I cut it this way, but for whatever reason I wasn't paying attention. I cut it up and down. I was like, well, that's fine either way. It turned out really cute. I was trying to stitch it or stuff it with sawdust, but I couldn't find my sawdust till I was already done, and it's just got some fiber fill and some walnut shells, what I had left. So there's that, and I think it's a good size for a pillow. I thought it would be too big, but I think it's perfect. And then I had one other pillow, and then I have a stand-up. This one was a free, no, it's not a freebie. It's from a magazine. This is, this one is Sub Rosa. I do a lot of her pieces. This one was a primitive stencher punch needle magazine, and I have it here somewhere. Here it is. I don't remember what it's called. It's called Autumn Berries. My printer was going a little bad, but that's the original. It's almost like just oranges and blacks. And I really wanted it to be more of a fall instead of a, I don't know, that orange and black was more Halloween to me. So I used kind of a bittersweet Threadworks color that does variegate a little bit. You know what? I missed a stitch. That's okay. I just noticed my quilting star is missing a stitch, but you know, only God is perfect. That's what I like to say. In fact, this border is just fiction because it's supposed to be 4, 4, 4, 4. So you can see mine is 5 and 3 and 4 and 4. So, and it was supposed to go an opposite direction, but you know, I didn't put the letters. They had an alphabet around it. And I did not intend to do that anyway. Gosh, my glasses are fogging. It's so warm outside. So it didn't matter that I had a difference in spaces. And I used this really pretty blue from Wicked Stepmother. I might find it as I go. And a window pane linen, 28 count. So again, same backing. This one I used a little bow. And I found those buttons. I think I showed them last time. They say handmade with love from Hobby Lobby, and I just tied around the ribbon with some twine, and then I think that back turned out so cute. So there is Autumn Berries by Sub Rosa, and like I said, instead of black I used a really pretty blue, and then I used like an orange. I think blue and orange look so pretty together. In fact, look, blue nails, orange dress. That's sort of my favorite colors, at least in fall. And then the last one I did, I don't think I even printed the cover sheet, but this is what it looks like, pretty close. This was from Not Forgotten Farm. I had the Cupid, didn't ever put its head on. It's not very hard to do, but I finally went ahead and did a stand-up. I don't think I've done another stand-up. I made this drum almost as a stand-up because you just change the cover on it, but I don't think I've done a figure before. I watched a tutorial with Helen D, and she was very helpful as far to be, you know, like is how to be like super precise. Helen, I wish I was more like you, but I didn't do it as precise. I basically just took the top of the jar that I was that had my scraps in it, and I made that for the curve, and then I sewed as close to perfectly as I could, but it's a little bit of a bumpy is at the top, but I don't think it is very noticeable. And I stuffed it really, really well. I like the tip she had to, when you're sewing on the bottom, which I just used a piece of mat board, when you're sewing on the bottom, leave space here, because I thought I had it done and it had plenty of stuffing, but she's right. As I stitched 3/4 of the way around, I realized I had some sagging here. It was like buckling. I put in another probably 2 or 3 handfuls of that super soft, fine, is it called Mountain Mist or something? I have a really fine filler that I got before Joann's went out of business, and so it took way more than I thought it would for something so tiny. I do like the way I put a little bit of extra space here because I have it in this little, I guess I could show that. I have it in this little tier tray. I like to put my things that I've just stitched right by me so I can stare at them and admire them. I know that's kind of embarrassing to admit, but I know I'm not the only one. So I like to have this a little taller so you can kind of see it. It would be kind of buried in the bottom of a tray in the way I have it here. So, and that's a really cool old book from my great grandparents. It's a German like church book. I don't know if it's got hymns or what, it's in German. And then these were the things that I made at Boxcar and that Katie So Tattered gave us. And I think this one might have been from another friend, this little strawberry. So I just keep these little pretty things right by me while I'm stitching. It makes me happy. And I put, this is sort of strange, but I thought these almost look like wings. In fact, I didn't see the wings on the pattern when I first did it. And I thought, oh, I'll make it so that it has wings on the back. But I just did it anyway because I thought it was cute to have a bow like that. It just kind of reminds me of wings. It's not wings, but I thought it was fun. And then I did do a satin stitch on the wings. I was watching something on, let me put that down, on Instagram where a lady showed how to do satin stitches where you do the stitches and then you do a satin stitch over top. It didn't quite look like I thought it would, but it's interesting. I mean, it does give it some texture and it gives it a little bit more shine. So I liked it. And this is just some tea-dyed Monaco, which is a nice fabric for a stand-up because it's nice and firm. And then there's that same fabric, like I said, on the back. So these all kind of match as a series. So that's kind of what I've been up to. That previous finish and then those little monthlies. I'm behind. I still need to do September, but there's some really sweet barn owls from the Joyful World that I want to do. Oh, here they are. I can show you. I thought these were really sweet. So I am going to keep that as charted and try to get that one done, but I might just jump to October, which I'm using May for, but it's getting there. It's getting there. And then let me show you some of the things I've started since we visited, and I had a new sampler to show you. So let me get that out and I'll be right back. Okay, I have out the projects I've been working on, but I found a few things in my pile too. This is the chart for the bee. It's called Bee's Knees, and it's stitched with one strand on 36 count. I think she said it's actually equivalent on Osnaburg, which I've never used before, but I changed it just a little bit with pink, and I think the flower's like a gray and white, which is very primitive, and I actually used a gold and brown to make it a sunflower. I forgot about that. So I don't think I used any of the called for other than 310. So, and the other thing I forgot to tell you on this heartstring sampler, it's called Farm and Folk Penny Cushions. I have started the next one, and I used 28 count even weave from Hobby Lobby. So I forgot to mention that. I'm a little bit rusty, but I will do the other one. I think it's going to be bigger, but I'll probably still make it a pillow. And then the next start I had back in August was the Primrose Hive Rules Primrose Cottage Stitches. I've wanted to do this a long time. In fact, my husband was just bringing home the floss and fabric for me that I ordered from Michael's when we last visited, and I went and dyed that yard of Ada, and I love the way this turned out. I have a picture, maybe I can put it here, of what it looked like. It's got some light behind it. Before I put it in taupe, it was really, I hope it's showing. It was really bright when I first put the blue and the browns on this Ada. It looked crazy. It looked like tie-dye. But then when you dip the whole thing in taupe afterwards, it just really turned out nice. I don't know what I'm going to use the other half of this for, but I definitely want to use it again. It's just a really pretty, like, almost looks like a summer sky or like a kind of a murky, but a little bit brighter. So there's the bottom one. I started at the bottom and moved my way up. That's my favorite way. I've said tons of times. So I did the bottom there, Be Loved. And I was needing to change the next part of that says love, and I don't think I got all of that. Yeah, it's on the next page up. So I finished a page and then need to finish the top, but I'm using the called for colors. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I might have used an overdyed for that 3371, but I think that's the called for. I have it all on a ring, so worked on that for a little bit. I don't know if I'll get it back out again. I just really enjoyed working on it. Yeah, here's I had these little bee tags that I use with the cereal box on the back so that it's nice and sturdy, and these are the called for colors, plus maybe one other one. I feel like, oh yeah, I have some other overdyes on here, but they're for other things that I didn't get to that I wanted to. So this Deep Forest, I think I got it Stitch Knit. I might use that on that one, but it was actually for another bee stitch. And then on my birthday, which was August 31st, I did go ahead and start Maria Finney. And I think it was actually like a few days after, but I had bought this chart back in the spring and had admired it for years, literally. And I finally just said, I'm just gonna do it. I was kind of having a rough time when I'm stressed. Sometimes it cheers me up a little to start. And I did a lot of the called for on this one. I'm actually gonna probably add in some DMCs, but these are the called for overdyes mostly. And then I'm not sure that Dove will work because, as I said I was going to do, I started this that's supposed to be on a Weeks Dyed Works, what is it, just a tan color. I did go ahead and start it on Dove, which I love this linen. It's so pretty, and I got just a tiny bit, but you can see how the white is really gonna show up on this. And it has this really, I started at the bottom, of course, it has this really complicated, well, maybe not too bad. It has a satin stitch border that's like over 3. It's like, it's gonna require a lot of patience. I'm probably gonna skip that for now. For one thing, this will probably be a long-term project, so I don't want it to be like, you know, loosening as I do it. It'll probably be the last thing I do. But I'm working my way, I started here, I'm working my way up, and then I'll come down and do this flower and the house. So I'm gonna keep working on that. It is 36 count. I find it to be even a little bit smaller though. It looks closer to 40 to me. I have to get my magnifiers on, and that's maybe why I didn't get as far, but yeah, this is actually, I think it goes that way. So I'm excited to get some work in on that. I need to get a few more threads. Like I said, I don't have everything, but the cream on there, I think it's called Fawn, and it's a really pretty variegated one, but I might also use ecru just to extend and not have to buy as many overdyes. But I was happy to start that for Sampler September and for my birthday. And then I also just got a little start happy, and I started this midnight watch. I was wanting to do Halloween. I've kind of stalled out on my other Blackbird piece for the Harvest, Feast of Friendship. I have the fruit bowl to finish, and then I'm done with it. The house is all done. I need to work on the border and the fruit bowl, and I don't know why. I'm just kind of dreading that. So I just told myself, I'll go ahead and start this, but work on it until it's done. And so that's my plan. I hope in the next month to really get a lot of work done. I had this fabric. I got it from a subscriber, and it's, oh, the sticker has come off. It's something Pointer by XG Designs, and it is an Aida, which I don't usually love, but it's pretty soft. And I went ahead and measured out all the way to the top. In fact, I stitched all the way to the top, but then I realized, you can see all my frogging, I had done, it goes like 5 up this way, 5 up that way, 5 up. I'd done 4. And so it was not easy to tell, but I realized my stitches are 1 too far and 1 too short on this side, and it will affect the different things happening over here, because I started down here. And when I measured out this fabric, I thought it was perfect for this piece. In fact, I had it like a sticky note on it that said, use this for Midnight Watch when it was gifted to me. But I realized it's not gonna fit. It is a 14 count Aida. And so I took off, I've done this before, I measured very carefully, and I took off this bottom row of the zigzags, and it'll just start like that. And I'm fine with that. I think it'll look cute. And I am gonna do the alphabet. Some people just do the cat and the pumpkins, but I really wanted it to be kind of long and thin. So I am doing the alphabet, and I am kind of making up my own colors. This ginger snap that's called for was not very variegated. My Gentle Arts piece is just almost like a DMC, which is kind of disappointing. So I did put in a few of the lighter colors on those buds, and you do have to watch this pattern. I've been forewarned, so that was helpful. There is a change in this pattern on the sides where it has the house. There's not a bud, and in fact, it's counted out a little bit different. And there's lots of places where they just leave off the bud, or they put like one line of the bud. It was kind of funny to me. They just like, yeah, that doesn't fit, so I'm not going to put it. And then like this zigzag row starts differently. So pay attention to the pattern if you're doing it. That's the bottom line. But it doesn't have a ton of colors in it. And I have some Victorian mottos that I'm going to use. I love that moon and the cat. That's my favorite. And I would love to have the quilt, but that's probably never going to happen. So, because I think it was initially a quilt, or they made one after. So I love the work that's going in on that. I think it was, is it Spotted Pointer? I'll try to find the sticker. I had it on there all this time, and then it fell off before I came in here. And I'm just kind of pulling from the same threads as I was using on the Feast of Friendship. So there are some overlaps like Ginger Snap and $33.71, and I have a few other just random pieces that I'm pulling from. I have all this thread in this beautiful bag from Brooke, and I'm just pulling. It's not super organized, but that's kind of my headspace right now, so that's where I'm at. And those are the 3 things I've been working on, other than all of these finishes that I got done. And let me show you my plans for the time going forward, other than working on those 2 samplers, the Cat Midnight Watch and the Maria Finney. And then I have a couple, well, I guess they're right here. I don't have to pull them out. This is my next start. I'm going to do this small here called Pumpkin Kisses. I'm not showing anything I shouldn't. I might. No, another Primrose Cottages. I bought that a while ago, and I'm going to use that same window pane fabric, and it shouldn't take very long. I think it's 39 by 72. So yeah, I'm going to put that together. I'm going to try to just work on one big one and one small and see how that goes. And then I do have some Christmas pieces I want to work on, but not this month. And I need to do some more work on my Hawker and Hollow. I've kind of stalled out on that since I showed you last. And I did get a little bit of happy mail. It was funny. I intended to film today after I did all that finishing work yesterday. Sorry, let me just kind of grab for this. And I haven't gotten happy mail in quite a while, other than what I've ordered myself. And sure enough, I go out to the mail on Sunday, when usually we get it every day, and there's a big package in there from my friend Wanda in Alabama that I met at Boxcar. So thank you so much, Wanda. That was such a sweet surprise. I got all these different trims and rickracs, and I hope you don't mind. I will probably dye a lot of this stuff, as I do. And then I got some beautiful lace and tatting. I am thrilled. I just can't wait to use that. That is so cool. Thank you so much. I enjoy the trims and the backs sometimes almost as much as I do the front. Not exactly, but you know, it just really does thrill my soul. So I'm happy to have those trims and some bulb pins and just lots of little bits and bobs. And it was stuffed very, very full in this package. So thank you so much for that, Wanda. I do have another Teresa Kogut Halloween book that I bought way back in August, and it's still not here. I think it must have been probably unavailable for them to ship from Annabelle's, but I did have that new Halloween book from Teresa, and I might start a piece from that as soon as it comes, because I have a piece of fabric in mind. So those plans ahead. Other than that, I am still doing my job with Academy 4, where I'm running a mentoring program for 4th graders. I've met my 4th grade class. There are 99 of them this year. So I've been very busy trying to find a mentor for every 4th grader at our school. And also, we have 10 clubs that we're doing, and that's still giving me a little bit of a headache. My Apple Watch warned me that my heart rate had been elevated over the last 19 days. And I've never had an alert like that. And I thought, okay, Cynthia, you have got to let some of this stress out. I'm trying to walk more. I'm sending some word out for help on some things that are kind of overwhelming me right now, because that job is such a momentous thing, but it's so worthwhile. Seeing all the kids sitting with their mentor and seeing all the members of our church and other community members around us helping, it makes you cry. It's really a beautiful thing. So I've worked really hard at that over the summer, and over the last few months I've been a guest visitor or a guest speaker at 4 different churches. I've been going around to the Chamber of Commerce, just really busy. So I'm trying to use stitching as a stress relief, and that's going well. And our kids are doing good. We still homeschool our youngest 2, and our second daughter is starting her junior year of nursing at OBU, and she's doing very, very well. Our oldest is working. Things are good. Just really, really busy. I'm about to get some new carpet up these stairs behind me. I'm so excited because they have been so mangy since we got in. They just look terrible. And I finally ordered the carpet. In fact, we've got all the moldings out behind us. You can't see them to the right, but they are like, I don't know, more than 10 feet. You can't even put them up against the wall. We have to step over them, but they're coming, I think, next week. So that's something to look forward to. And I'll show a few videos of my fall finishes. I haven't decorated everything for fall. I have some things out, but I'm not quite ready for pumpkins, so I'm still going with sunflowers, and I'm happy to be able to visit with you today. I hope you are all doing well. If you have a prayer request that you would like me to remember, I will write it down and think of you. And then as I finish all of my videos in the book of Psalms, chapter... Wow, my brain is a little bit tired. I'm going to have to put the reference right here. I will write it. I was trying to say that my daughter Sophia had been summoned for jury duty. I just saw that as well as Wanda's package. And I said she was jummoned for Surrey duty. So my brain, as you can tell, it's a little bit fried right now. But I will write our verse here. May the favor of the Lord our God be upon us and establish the work of our hands. I just can't think of the address. I hope you're well, like I said, and thanks for visiting with me. Have a great rest of September.